In today's video, I'm going to be discussing whether we should be turning or tilting in our backswing. Make sure you check this video out. Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today at Branston Golf and Country Club. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the backswing movement. And I'm going to be focusing here with an iron to start with, but I will discuss with different clubs in a second. And I want to talk about turning versus tilting. And it was something, I've obviously got my own ideas on what we do, and I've put a lot of videos and time into talking about the backswing and coiling movements and things. So if you've watched my channel before, you'll probably be pretty clear on where I stand with the backswing. But I was watching something on social media, and Justin Rose was playing, it was at the Dunhill Links, so it was up in Scotland. And his partner was Justin Timberlake, and they just did a bit of a fun video, and I think someone must have asked him for a quick tip, so he called it Tour Tip Tuesday. So I don't know if you'd seen it at all, but he was talking about what he was working on in his golf swing. And he said he was very much working on a couple of things at setup, but then he was very much working on trying to stay very centered over the ball and working on his tilts rather than his turns. So he says a fault of his is when he turns too much off the ball and he feels like he comes a little bit out of posture, his head and body move away from the target. So he tries to work very much on his tilts. Now, I think golfers who are worried about this term tilting are worried about tilting and staying onto their lead side, creating what we call a reverse pivot where their pressure is onto their lead leg in the backswing. But we can very much create this tilt and still load pressure into our trail foot. Now, of course, our shoulders aren't working completely vertical, and they're definitely not working completely horizontal. We want them to turn on a tilted axis. So I like this thought of tilting, not turning. Of course, we're somewhere between the two, so it's a combination of, but I get so many golfers with this sort of movement in the backswing where we tend to see head moving a long way away from the golf ball, lead shoulder moving up, coming up and out of posture. If their backsides move forwards in the backswing, we tend to see it move further forwards in the downswing, and a real sort of swipe at the golf ball with the hands and arms because the body really isn't very engaged. What you see with Justin Rose is you're really engaging his body very well. He's really coiling around that movement. So if this is something you struggle with and you need a little bit more tilt in your backswing because you see too much lateral movement, you see that lead shoulder move too much horizontally, you see maybe a separation with the upper body from the lower body in your backswing, or potentially from this angle just up and out of posture, then an exercise for you, I've got a couple actually, but one feeling for you would be in golf setup and then reach your lead fingertips. So my left hand for me as a right-handed golfer down towards my lead kneecap, and then move my lead shoulder underneath my chin. So I create some, we call it side bend. And the side bend here is in my lead side, so this is my side bend before I turn, okay? So I've created the side bend. We need to do that gradually in the backswing movement, but this gives me that feeling of side bend before I turn. And you can see clearly there, my lead shoulders move comfortably down underneath my shoulder. If I just had a golf club in my arms, it would look much more along these ways. And I've created that turning on a tilted axis, that very coiled movement I want to see. I like a lot of exercises with clubs across shoulders, and rather than going through this, I filmed a number of videos that would discuss that, and I will put a couple of links up here that are well worth you checking out to give you some more ideas and some exercises that you can do. One great for me at home exercise I'm going to discuss today, I've talked about before, would be the spiral staircase exercise, something I'd pinched from Pete Cowan, heard him talk about quite a lot. And he gets a lot of players doing, and he just gets them with their palms facing their floor, the thumbs together, and the feeling is that we push down as we turn back. So we're actually swinging around and up, down and around. We're turning on a spiral staircase. It is obviously not just a lifting movement or a turning movement here. We're turning around our body, but we're feeling like we're applying pressure to the ground. That helps me get this tilting movement in the backswing that I'm really looking for, staying very centered over the golf ball. So rather than just lifting the arms, I feel like I push down As I coil back, I just simply allow that trail elbow to fold, and that would be my top of the backswing movement. And it should feel, if you're talking to someone in that position, posing, you should sound a bit like this. You really want to engage those muscles in your back, in your legs, in your glutes, as you're really starting to coil up in that backswing movement. So we could simply do that exercise of reach that lead arm down and then turn, so we're getting that feeling of the side bend, or we can do it as a whole movement with that spiral staircase exercise. What I'm going to do is just have a couple of rehearsals backswing before I go ahead and hit one, really trying to get that feeling of turning around a tilted axis. So my spine angle here, so that lead shoulder for me moving down underneath my chin. Great if you can make some slow paced backswings to really get that feeling, rather than this sort of movement off the golf ball. We're staying very centered. We're getting this lead shoulder moving down underneath my chin, so I'm creating this side bend in my lead side on the backswing. Let me give that a go. Going to do a nice slow pace backswing movement. So felt very, very solid. Ball turf strike, divot pointing in roughly the right direction, as did the ball, but really got that sensation with just a nice slow pace swing to start with, of tilting correctly. It is not a swing on a vertical axis, it's not a swing on a horizontal, we're somewhere between the two. We want to turn around our spine angle, but because we see so many golfers with this movement off the golf ball, the thought, like Justin Rose put in there, of tilting, not turning, could be a really good one for you. And those exercises will definitely help if this is something you struggle with. If this video has helped, make sure you hit the thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel as well, so you never miss a video again. Cheers guys, we'll see you soon.